in
there
your
you are.
beautiful home in Florida. Hi.
Hi, my darling. I'm actually in London at the moment in a hotel, but yeah, Florida is lovely. I love your fire in the background there.
I came in, actually, my own office is very chilly. I've got the dogs with me. They may well join in with the conversation at any moment, but that's okay. That's, I think, Instagram Live, isn't it? But thank you so much for joining me. And
Thank you for asking me on, Miranda. I'm very honoured
oh,
and proud to be here. Thank you. Yeah.
you're very welcome, and likewise. So I've been tracking you, Petronella, for a few years now. You have made a real splash on the fashion front, actually, with the human being diet, and you're all over Instagram. It's turned into, you know, I'm not going to say a cult, but I would say a huge success. And you've got all sorts of new sort of bloggers on Instagram starting up their own accounts and tracking their progress, and it's just turned into, I feel, a bit of a movement. So
It really has, isn't it? So
yeah,
exciting. Yeah,
it's
really, really cool.
really exciting. And I'd love to chat about, first of all, the success of it, how it works, sort of tips and tricks for people, your story. And then I do have a list of questions here that people have sent in
Oh,
specifically. So
great.
if we could
Good.
cover those at the
Fantastic.
end, that would be
No,
amazing.
definitely. So it all started with this book, which I self-published at the end of 2018. And I really did it for myself. I wanted to spread the word without people having to spend like 1,500 quid on a consultation to come and see me. So I knew I could spread the word further and wider, you know, with this book, which cost £15 or something. And I had plans. I was going to go around the country talking to radio stations and promoting the book. And I had this ridiculous accident. I fell downstairs and broke my ankle, and I forgot about it, completely forgot about it. Ended up having 5 operations. And beginning of lockdown, 2020, my darling friend Donna Ida said, P, what are you doing with that book of yours? Why don't we talk about it on Instagram? So that's really how it all got going. And then the HBD gang was born, and more people were joining and talking about it and sharing their recipes. And like you said, you know, getting themselves HBD names. So this is really the rules, you know, understanding the rules in really on a deep level, because if you understand the rules when you're following HBD, it makes it almost impossible to break them, because you know what's happening with your metabolism when you break the rules. But
Yes.
everybody was saying, not surprisingly, please can we have a cookbook? And it's a long time coming, but here it is, the HBD cookbook at last.
I've got it. I've got both of mine. They're both great.
Hey, fantastic. Thank you so much. So that was actually thanks to Alex Sterling, and we follow each other on HBD. And she said, yeah, your first book's the rules, and the second book really is the tools. It's how to put it into action. So that's how it all came. And by the way, I was just in Sainsbury's and found this on the shelf there in Cromwell Road.
Oh, fantastic. Word is spreading.
I'm very surprised to see that. Very, very excited as well.
My followers who are tuning into this and going, yeah, I've heard a bit of noise about this human being diet. You know, I put a few pounds on over Christmas and I could definitely lose some weight. But what's so special about this one? And what's all the fuss about? You know, could you please explain?
Yes, thank you, Miranda. That's a great question. I think the main difference between this and any other healthy eating sort of program is that it's a 3-month program which is designed to segue into a whole new way of life. So it's not a quick fix diet, but you can use it as a quick fix to lose weight. But ultimately, that's not the purpose of it, is to reteach ourselves how to eat. You know, it's eating 3 meals a day, fasting 5 hours between each meal, drinking lots of water. And by the end of the 3 months, I promise you, you'll feel so much better that you won't want to go back to your old ways. Sometimes it takes a few goes, you know, people fall off and come back on. But essentially, the idea is that it's leading into a change of lifestyle for good. I mean, I'm really for good. Make you feel so much better. You know, that's what it's about.
That's amazing. I have to say, I'm starting. So I'm in, and people that have been watching my stories will know they've been following along. So I'm in day 2 of phase 2, which is the prep, isn't
Well
it?
done.
No, the reset. And yeah, I feel it's quite an achievement, actually. I feel great to have got this far, and I'm starting to get little windows of feeling absolutely incredible. So I'm sleeping really well, thank you. And then I'm waking up quite bright and clear, and just with some lovely clear energy. There's no sort of draggy, toxic-y, icky feeling.
Yeah. Did you have the Epsom salts on the first
Oh,
day.
I did.
Well done, yeah. That's really
Oh,
good.
yes. And I have been saying on my stories, you know, I think people, sort of one of my tips is to definitely prepare for that. In fact, I'll just ask one of the questions that I've got here, and someone has asked if they're absolutely essential. So perhaps, again, for those who are new to this, you just explain when we take them and why.
Yeah, so the idea with the Epsom salts is a lot of people think that it's just a laxative, and Epsom salts, it's magnesium sulfate, and that, you know, they do act as a laxative, but they also have a kind of relaxing effect on the bile ducts of the gallbladder. So it's much more of a detox than just getting everything out of the colon. And the reason I recommend it is because they tend to minimize side effects like headaches and just feeling fluey. But
Yeah.
no, they're not absolutely essential. And I know, I mean, a few people have said, I don't think I can do it, so I can't start, you know, I can't start HBD. So please just start without doing them. And, you know, maybe next reset, you might feel strong enough to try them and see. They don't taste very nice, but it's only a second. And then
Yeah.
stay near a loo all day, basically.
Yes, I
Yeah.
basically cleared my weekend, but that was okay. And I sort of
Fun,
knew that
fun.
yeah, exactly. I knew that it was very good for me and we were getting off on the right start. So it felt quite cathartic because I definitely did indulge over Christmas, as we all do.
As we all do, yeah.
Yeah, it was good to start things. So there, obviously there's weight loss, which is, everyone loves to feel a little bit slimmer and trimmer. But there are many other benefits to this diet as well. And there's sort of a whole list of ailments and symptoms that it could treat. Would you please go through?
Exactly. Yeah, so you could say that weight loss occurs as a side effect of bringing everything back into balance, and specifically hormones and hormone-related problems. Like, you know, we shouldn't have, well, obviously I'm past that stage, but we shouldn't have painful periods. Painful periods means that there's inflammation in the body, and HBD works to lower that inflammation. And so it has an effect of normalizing our blood sugar and our insulin, and that has an effect on all the other hormones, you know, because the hormones don't work in isolation. Insulin is a hormone as well. So if that's out of whack, then everything's out of whack. You bring
Yeah.
insulin and blood sugar back under control, which HBD does very, very nicely. And it has a knock-on effect on all sorts of other hormones, you know, thyroid, adrenal, female hormones, perimenopausal symptoms. You know, I think that your followers are younger than that. So yeah, things like problematic periods, endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, all those kind of things. And not making any claims for the human being diet. This is all about eating normal food, normal, healthy, unprocessed food.
Yes.
Having, always a mixture of carbohydrate and protein at each meal, weighing out your portions, and then having 5 hours between meals. So you count the 5-hour fast from when you finish eating until your next meal can start. And all those things also have a great effect on our friendly microbes, you know, our gut microbes. And they do so much for us, you know, so it's a win-win for everything in the body, really. And also, of course, gut health, skin health, energy levels, like you said, sleep, almost everything. We can change the way we feel by changing what we eat. That is the key message. And it really,
Yes.
really makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's perimenopause as well, isn't there? Because I know a lot of
Yeah.
my community, like I am, are just starting off on that journey, and we're not quite sure how
You're
we're going to
not.
go one day to the
Are you
next.
serious about that? I mean, you
I
look as
am.
if you're sort of 30, 35 max.
Oh, that's
Yeah, no,
very
you
kind of you.
do.
I'm 47, so yes.
No, you look amazing. Well, so
Yeah.
this is just the right moment then. And what made you start it?
The human being diet.
Yeah.
Well, I've always had a keen interest in health and wellness. I actually, in fact, my story is I had a very serious car accident and in fact broke my ankle, well, and my legs very badly, and was
Yeah.
facing amputation. And I'm trying to condense a very long story here, and
Yeah.
got addicted to prescription drugs. I was assigned a pain team. I had about 10 operations,
Oh,
and was
God.
very stubborn about not losing my foot because
Yeah.
for all that entailed. So
Yeah.
felt like traditional medicine wasn't helping me at this point, because all they were saying was, no, come on, we can chop it off, or we can do this. So I turned to everything alternative and
Yeah. Well
complementary I
done.
could possibly find, and I've always been very interested in that anyway. And actually, the shortened story is that I recovered fully. I'm much healthier now, but did actually then come up with Lyme disease, which was latent and triggered by the trauma of the
Yeah.
accident, which we thought was
Yeah.
Crohn's and lots of other things. So I became really fanatical about nutrition and all of this wonderful world out there that really can help us, and ended up studying it myself. I went to CNM, the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and did a naturopathic nutritionist course.
Fantastic.
Just for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Really amazing, and well done for holding on to your foot. I mean, what a nightmare. And they're happily saying, yeah, we'll just chop this off and that will be the end of your problems. Well done, you. And did you, I hope you had lots of family support, because that's such a hard thing to deal with, you know, faced with a kind of logical, clinical loss in the hospitals. And, you know, it's very hard not to be sucked in and swayed by that. So well done, you.
Thank you. I did have amazing. My husband was phenomenal, and one of the other things that saved me actually was something called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And I broke my talus, which doesn't have its own blood supply, and I was given a 99.8% chance of developing avascular necrosis and losing my foot. And my husband did this amazing research, and I went to this MS center for this very specialist hyperbaric therapy, and 20 sessions later, they x-rayed my foot, and the medics could not believe the difference. So we've actually started our own clinic. We've actually got our own clinic now, because that's amazing. So I just thought I'd get that in, because it's actually amazing for all sorts of things too, isn't it?
It is. I've never tried it. Ricardo, my husband, has. And we had a friend who had one of those. Well, she worked in one somewhere in East London, I think. No, it sounded amazing. Really fabulous. Yeah, no, it's really fantastic. I'll pop it in the comments or something so people can have a look when I post this up.
But, you know, I fully understand that what we eat makes an enormous difference. And I've got a very sensitive body. I know that. So, which is a good, bad thing. I can come back very quickly if I start to get into good habits. I know I can feel good pretty fast, but equally, I just look at a chocolate bar and I probably put a pound on. So it goes either way. Very much so. So I had so many friends that I know, you know, Donna actually being one of them, but many friends that have done this and are raving about just how fantastic they are feeling. And yes, the weight loss is a side issue because they have so much energy, their menopausal symptoms are gone, their skin is glowing, their eyes are sparkling. So I just thought, right.
Well, your skin's already glowing, so I can't imagine what you're going to look like at the end of 2 weeks.
You're very kind. I know all the makeup tricks, so I'm covered anyway, but it would be nice to be able to wear less.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're a friend of Claire and Claude's, I think, as well, in Spain. Yes. No, she's lovely as well.
Yes,
no, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, serious HBD fans, you know, once you've tried this, then it is hard the first 2 weeks. And any day between 7 and 10 tends to be quite hard. So just be ready for that. Because I did it last year as well. I'm not doing the reset this year until spring. But I remember getting to that stage and thinking, oh, I can't do this anymore. And then you remember why you started. That's one of the key things, is to think about everything that you want to change. Mainly about the way you feel, but also possibly about the way you look, you know, skin problems or problems with pain, digestion, everything else. And write them down so that when you do get to that stage, and nearly everybody gets to one of those days, and you're really tempted to just say, right, that's it, I've had it now, that you revisit your reasons. You think, yeah, I remember, that's why I'm doing this. I don't want to feel like that anymore. This is tough, but I'm going to carry on. I'm going to get through it. And just get busy tidying your things in the cupboard, batch cooking, putting things in the freezer, anything to just take your mind off what you're feeling, the pain of what's in the moment, because it's fleeting.
Yes, I agree. I think distraction is enormous. The evenings can be a dangerous time for me. So I do go to bed early, and that's easy at this time of year, isn't it? I go and have a nice long bath and then snuggle up and read a book or something. And I just have to remove myself from the kitchen, really. But yes, do you think you could just briefly just talk through the 4 stages, so if people that are watching that are completely new to this understand what they might be letting themselves into?
Yes, of course. So the first 2 days are just vegetables only, ideally preceded on day 1 about half an hour before breakfast with 3 teaspoons of Epsom salts in warm water. So stir them until they dissolve. You don't want a long drink, believe you me, you know that, Miranda. No. Yes. You want a short, sharp shock, and then have lots of plain water after that. So 2 days, vegetables only. Vegetables does not include things like potatoes and sweet corn and pulses, you know, lentils. It's just veg. So you do that for 2 days, and that's essentially giving your body lots of fiber, feeding the microbes, you know, the friendly microbes in our gut, and the first part of the detox, drinking lots and lots of water. And during the 2 days, you can have black tea or coffee, it doesn't matter. But in the second phase, which starts on day 3, you're introducing protein, and I know that was quite a joy for you as well.
It was.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? We take things for granted, don't we? We only have vegetables for 2 days, and then we're allowed to have eggs or something for breakfast on day 3. It's just such a luxury, such a joy. So the next 14 days, eating 3 times a day, 5 hours between each meal, always combining protein foods, which things like eggs, fish, chicken, tofu, tempeh, with vegetables. And all the weights are in the book. So they're in this book. So this book you can follow just if you want to eat more healthily. But if you really want to do the whole HBD program and you want to really get it on a deep level, you need to read this one first.
Yes, I agree with that, because I think it's, as you said, it's so much easier to understand why you're doing it. And what I love is that every section is explained very simply for us all to grasp, but then you have got all the links to the scientific papers and references. So if we want to go and look up more about that topic, we can, which is so handy.
Exactly. So you've got the first 2 days, phase 1, then 14 days of phase 2. That's being really, really strict. And if you kind of fall off, I don't mean if you have a vegetable that's not on the list by mistake. I mean, if you have a binge, you know, if you eat chocolates or have, you know, a couple of glasses of wine or whatever, that means starting again. You really don't want to start again, because it's not.
Petronella, I've got a confession to make, and I'm doing this publicly. It's okay. I haven't cheated. I have not cheated. Just to say that. However, I've got a lovely ski trip coming up, and I've just counted my days, only for 4 days, and I'm not through my 14 days when I go. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, you know, what you could do is switch straight into phase 3 from now, and then when you come back, because you're only on day 2.
Yes.
So if you go into phase 3, so phase 3 is essentially the same as phase 2, but we're adding olive oil to each meal, and getting a treat meal once a week. So
okay.
When are the 4 days? Is it right at the end of phase 2?
Yes, I literally missed the last 2 days. It's just 2 days early that I go. So it's I have another 10.
Could you be really, really good on the first 2 days of your ski trip, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a massive drinker anyway, but I'm staying at a friend's, so I have to slightly go with the flow. But I will try my very best to be as pure as possible.
I mean, it is possible. It's tough. It's great that you're not really much of a drinker, because that really helps. That's what derails a lot of people. So you could take your seeds with you, because you can easily find an apple. So you could have sunflower and pumpkin seeds with your apple for breakfast in the morning. Then just choose plain protein, plain grilled protein, like chicken or fish or whatever, for lunch, with vegetables. And just say to whoever's doing the cooking, please don't put oil or butter on this, because I won't be able to eat it. And so fingers crossed you'll get through it.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
Same thing in the evening.
Which I think I can do. It's just whether I need to sort of do a little reset again when I come back. I suppose it depends on how much I've been able to stick to it.
Yeah.
I will let you know. I'll let everyone know.
Yeah, let us know. The thing is, everybody says, so why is it 14 days? Why does it have to be 14 days? And I promise you, it's really important, because it can take 14 days for us to make the switch between burning fat for energy and burning carbs for energy. And I had to tell you that when I did the reset last year, I mean, obviously I was going to stick with it, because I was doing it with Ricardo, and we were on Zooms and doing Instagram every day. But nothing happened on the scales for the first 12 or 13 days. And I thought, this is really weird, but I'm going to stick with this because I know it works. And then sure enough, on maybe it was day 14 or something, everything started to shift. And, as the weight was coming off, I knew the inflammation was going down and the detox was probably taking place. So it's a magic amount of time. The first 2 days and the second 14 days. So don't cut it short. Do whatever you can to keep it up till you get to day 17.
And don't lose heart if you're not losing as quickly as your friend.
Exactly. Don't lose heart. Yeah.
Can we just actually have we finished the 4 phases? I don't think we have.
No. So day 17, you move into phase 3. That's when we add the extra virgin olive oil. Very, very important. Because if you keep up the regime of what you've been doing in phase 2, which is low calorie, what happens is our bodies adapt by lowering our metabolic rate. to conserve energy, to basically to stop us from starving to death. And that's why us human beings are on this earth today. We are the survivors. We're the ones, you know, our ancestors were wily enough to find food when food was scarce. And they were also very good at turning that excess food into fat, which made them survive. So we are their great, 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 great grandchildren. You know, we're not the kind of people who were good at surviving on very little food. We were the ones who were good at turning what food we had into fat.
Okay.
So that's why we must move from phase 2 into phase 3 and add the extra calories in the form of the extra virgin olive oil, and also having a weekly treat meal of whatever we like.
Can't wait.
And if you write, it's very interesting, if you write down what you're fantasizing about today, and every day you'll be surprised how that changes. And looking back, yeah, you think, how on earth was it that I was craving that? I wouldn't dream of eating that now. Because when you get to the end of phase 2, you know, having been through a couple of potentially hard days, it feels like you could go on like that forever, you know, but we mustn't go on like that forever. We've got to shake things up, add in the oil, and really take our body by surprise with that weekly treat meal, giving your body loads of extra calories. And it's like saying to your body, what do you mean you're not starving to death? Look, there's masses of food here. And your body says, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll do a bit more fat burning. I'll reduce the inflammation a bit more, you know, and on it goes. Just a word of advice about the treat meals, because most people think, oh gosh, I can't wait, I'm going to have pizza and wine and, you know, chips and everything else. Be very, very careful if you haven't stopped eating gluten or wheat before. And I know that you know this, Miranda, but I would leave it out of your first treat meal. Maybe have dairy, have cheese, and see how you do on that. But if you have wheat and cheese and you feel really rough, which is possible the next day or two, you won't know which one it was, which the culprit was. So be very careful with the treat meals. Be very careful if you've known that you had a real problem with sugar, that you were really addicted to it. Don't have it on your first treat meal. Wait until you're much more solid and much more stable and much more further along the program. Because, you know, the sugar monster is very, very foxy, and he can pretend he's gone to sleep or he's dead, but that first bite of sugar and he springs back into life. So, you know, if you've got through the first 16 days and you thought you couldn't manage 16 days without sugar, carry on, just avoid it for longer. Be careful. That's the advice, really.
That cheese fondue washed down by 10 glue vines I was planning on the slopes then might not be the best idea next week.
Maybe not.
No, I will be gentle, because I know about that. And again, you're right, you're excluding so many things that could actually, you could have built up a little intolerance to. You don't have to be allergic to them, but they just might not be doing you any good because you're eating too much of them.
Exactly. And even the nightshades. So you'll see in the HBD cookbook, it's recommended really that everybody gets rid of nightshades. So, you know, aubergines, peppers, tomatoes, etc. for the first 2 weeks. And I just got a message from someone, and she said, I had no idea. I do have problem with pain in my hands, in my wrists. And I got rid of the nightshades, and I had tomatoes on day 17, and hey presto, the pain's back. But it's not until we take everything out and then put it back one by one that we see the effect that it could be having on our bodies. Really amazing.
Explain, because I think I remember when I went to nutrition school, one of the concepts that was really huge and so significant to me was inflammation. And you know, the Western sort of concept of inflammation is that you get a cut and it goes red, and then you have to quickly, you know, put something on it to take it down. But we don't really think about inflammation being on the inside of our bodies so much.
No, that's right. That's it, like the inflammation that we can't see. It's the kind of fire within. And I wrote about it actually because I picked out a statement from the World Health Organization, because on their website it says that basically all the current chronic modern diseases that we're suffering from, including things like cardiovascular disease, are the result of inflammation, and that inflammation can be controlled by what we eat. So, you know, with HBD, we're eating an anti-inflammatory diet. We're eating anti-inflammatory, natural, whole, unprocessed foods. And eating those foods, you know, it all goes back to Hippocrates, you know, 2,000 years ago. Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine thy food. You know, like our food can be our medicine. It can absolutely reduce the inflammation. This is nothing to do with the human being diet. This is Mediterranean diet, eating healthy foods that reduce the inflammation inside us. And if we know that those lifestyle diseases can be controlled or overturned by changing what we eat. Let's do that. We don't just want to live for a long time. We want to feel absolutely brilliant while we're alive. Yeah,
Yes.
not half dead and living forever. So
Yes.
that, yeah, it's inflammation that we can't see that manifests on the outside as asthma, cardiovascular disease, breathing problems, problems with periods. All those things are associated with inflammation. So let's
Yes.
just turn it off, thanks. We don't need it.
We
Yeah.
don't want that. We don't want that pesky inflammation. No, thank
No, we
you.
don't
No,
want to.
it's huge, and obviously our environments as well can add into that, can't they? But I think the thing we're in the biggest control of is what goes into our mouths. So
Exactly. What into our mouths and how we deal with emotional stress. Because it's how we react to stress that determines how it affects us, basically. And I know that's really, really easy thing to say, but journaling can really, really help. And meditating, just taking time to just take a few breaths and see what our body feels like, the messages from our body, and to recenter, go for walks outside. It doesn't have to be complicated, but any way that we can find to help us feel better and calmer in our day-to-day life is going to be a real help. Yeah.
I agree. And actually, a quick tip for everyone watching, I have discovered, I don't know if you know it, Petronella, there's this amazing app, meditation app called Synctuition,
No.
SYNC. Again, I'll put it in the caption when I post this to the grid. But if anyone struggles with meditating, and I love the idea of it, but my mind, my monkey brain does not like to
Monkey
switch
brain.
off.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
That's a really
sitting
good
there.
tip. Thank you.
It's amazing, and literally you put it on and there's all these different journeys, I think 8 phases, and it puts your brain into, I think it's the theta waves, and it's all quite scientific, but literally it turns your brain to jelly in a good way,
In a
and you
good way.
feel so relaxed. It's amazing. So
That
everyone
sounds
should.
wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, really good.
And I think one other thing that I just want to reiterate, you did say it, but again, I think this is a really key message for people at home, that haven't gone and don't have all your amazing knowledge, is that the hormones are all connected. I know you've said this already, but I've had friends say to me, okay, well, you're doing a diet to lose some weight, but how's that going to help your menopause? Or how's that going to help your adrenals? But
Yeah.
they all do help each other, don't they?
They all help each other. And you probably you remember the same thing, that the number one and the simplest thing, but has the most profound effect on our body when you were studying nutrition, is to get our blood sugar under control. And when we get our blood sugar under control, we've got insulin is playing the right tune. All the other hormones are coming back into balance. And what makes our blood sugar out of whack or out of control is eating too many sugars, too much starch, not enough protein, not drinking enough water, being stressed out. So, all those times that we're looking for energy and we're thinking, well, that sugar is going to give me an energy hit. Yes, it does. But what happens ultimately is that the sugar, when it's broken down in our body, uses up B vitamins, magnesium, chromium, zinc, vitamin C, all those things that we need for stable blood sugar levels, and all those things that we need for energy. So we're really sabotaging ourselves when we go for sugar.
Yes.
So it's balancing the blood sugar that is at the core of this program, and at the core of really anything that you're doing to try and regain your health or overturn any health problems. Number one, get your blood sugar under control. And that's why there's so much in this book about blood sugar, because if we know the effect that bread and mashed potatoes and sugar and biscuits and cakes are going to have on our health, on our blood sugar, on depleting our nutrients, it makes them less appealing. Like I say to myself, if I'm tempted by sugar, sure, go ahead, you can have that, but just remember, it'll make you fatter, maybe spottier, wrinklier, hungrier, and more tired. And you think, oh, I'm not so sure I do want that.
No, absolutely. A moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips, unless you do the HBD diet. No, I think that's really important to kind of drive home that point, because lots of people don't understand that, and I think it is quite surprising.
Exactly, it's really surprising, and I really did my best to make this as simple as possible, and also I think you can't really explain something unless you really understand it yourself. And I had to do a bit of revision on some of this, to make sure that I could explain it in normal language, not in scientific language. Because, if you just wanted a scientific language, you just look up all the studies and read the very dry, books about things like blood sugar. But it is key. It's really important. It's really central to
Yes.
not just following HBD, but to our overall health. Really, really
Yeah.
key. Yeah,
And then,
vital that we
and then
get that.
stage four then, which is the, I guess, the lifestyle part, that, you know, moving on,
Yeah.
strict. What does that look like?
Well, so what that looks like is we've discovered, hopefully, what foods really suit us, what foods we feel energize us and keep us going for the longest, and what foods potentially don't suit us, like typically wheat, gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol, whatever else. Because we go from phase 2 into phase 3 feeling so much better. And then we kind of experiment with things when we're adding things in our treat meal, particularly saying, you know, how do I feel the next day? Make a note of what you had, and then the next week, maybe those foods that you know made you feel ill last week, try something else. Really good simple things are things like fish or meat or chicken with heavy sauces. You know, things like, not necessarily dairy, things like béarnaise or mayonnaise sauce or hollandaise sauce, which is eggs. So get the calories that way. And then by the time we get to phase 4, which is either we've done our 10 weeks on the whole program, then we can move to phase 4. Or if we haven't achieved the weight that we wanted to achieve, the healthy weight, just carry on with phase 3 until you've achieved that weight that you wanted to achieve. And then you move into phase 4. And phase 4, it's really an extension of phase 3, but lots of the rules that were in phase 3, like one type of protein per meal, for instance, like not mixing proteins or not mixing fruits within meals, you can disregard. But again, keep the food diary going, because that way you can work out, like me, I mean, I remember years ago, I had 3 different types of melon. I was in a melony mood. And within like 20 minutes, I had the most horrendous stomach ache. So
Right.
so that's just melon, never mind melon and raspberries and apple. It's much, much harder on the digestion to process different types of fruit. And when we eat different types of protein, we actually can absorb less protein than if we just stick to one type per meal.
I know. That's again, I'd forgotten that. I'd
Yeah,
forgotten that from my studies, and that's just. It's such a revelation. You see all these bodybuilders and things out there with
I know.
surf and turf and big fry ups and everything else, but they're not actually helping themselves, are they?
They're not, because what happens if we eat too much protein, it doesn't all get burnt. That again gets turned into fat. Yeah, as well as being, you know, less available to us as protein.
Yes.
So in phase 4, the experimentation continues. You know, mixing this and that. How do I feel? Like, you know, maybe a salad niçoise, you know, which is tuna, egg, potato salad. You know, how do I feel after a meal like that? And it is scary when you get into phase 4, and so many people have said that, because there isn't really a roadmap. So
No.
it's phase 3, and then gradually experimenting, adding in more things, seeing how everything makes you feel. So, you know, the experiment goes on and on and on. I'm still experimenting. Like, I thought I was okay with cheese. I had some cheese in Florida last week. It was goat's brie, and I thought, well, that would be all right. And I woke up the next morning looking distinctly puffy, and I thought, okay, well, thanks for the feedback. I'm not gonna eat that again. Well, not for a while
Yes.
anyway.
Body said no. No, thank you.
But he said
Loud.
no. So, and I
Yeah.
also get messages from people who've done really well on phase 2. They've got into phase 3, but they're eating treat meals that are making them feel ill, typically with gluten and or dairy in them. And instead of thinking, God, that really didn't suit me, I remember this is how I felt a lot of the time before I started HBD. They have it the next week. So please don't do that. Please really listen to your body, and let's, you know, show our body some respect. And if your body's clearly saying, I don't like that, and you've got a headache and you're bloated and whatever else, don't have it. Don't have it again for a month and see how you do. Yeah,
I
really
think
important.
that's really key, and I know, personally speaking, I know many of my friends have got slight food issues, not in
Yeah,
terms of eating disorder. You could
yeah,
perhaps say disordered eating, which is different rather than anything more serious than that. But you know, hands up, I am an emotional eater. If I am
yeah,
tired, bored, depressed,
yeah,
angry,
yeah, yeah.
I
You
turn
agree
I
with
turn
it.
to chocolate or whatever. So that's, I think, the struggle. You have the discipline to go through the first 3 phases, but it is sort of easier, as you said, because you've got that roadmap. But then when you're on your own, as it were, I think that's when those old habits, you have to make sure that you've broken them.
Yeah,
I guess. You
broken the
agree?
habits, exactly. Yeah, and that's also why it's a really good thing to write down your whys when you start. If you started and you haven't, it's fine. Just write down now. What you want to change about the way you feel, about the way you look, about the way you experience life, and revisit that every couple of weeks. And anytime you feel a bit of a wobble coming on, okay, why am I doing this? Oh, okay, now I remember. Are those reasons important to me? Yes, they are. It's no good if it's just kind of intellectual. And you could also mark them out of 10. So if 10's a real problem, say my joints hurt, how much do they hurt? If 1
Yeah.
is very little and 10 is a lot, mark it out of 10. And then you'll be astonished to see that going down. Maybe by week 3 it will gone down to 1 or whatever. So
Yeah, that's a
that's
really good one, actually, because I have a lot of back pain and things. I'm hypermobile anyway, and I have, because of the Lyme diagnosis, I know
yeah,
that the joints can be a bit iffy. But actually, I wonder how much of it is actually down to food that's not agreeing with me rather than the Lyme, and it'll be interesting to find out.
it would be really, really interesting. Yeah. No, I'm really sorry about the Lyme. That's horrible. And we've so many of us have these hidden viruses, and when we're depleted in any way or immune challenged, they just spring into life and they say, here I am. You think, oh no, the last thing you need. So yes,
Yeah.
so that's really, really key. And like we were saying before, keeping a note of things that that your body doesn't like, and don't have them. Or if you want to have them, just have a tiny speck. So it's like that hormesis effect we talk about in the book,
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
little bit of poison is actually
Yes.
a good thing. It kind of zips everything up in the body and it perks up the immune system again. But if we have a lot of poison every day, that will surely kill us.
Yes.
So yeah, the poison is in the dose. And same
Yes.
thing with water. We can drink too much water, so much water that we can keel over. We don't want to do that either.
Yeah, that's so true. So
Yeah,
true. Well, I've got some questions here, if you're happy
yeah,
to answer them, that people have been
absolutely. Yeah,
sending in. Thank you. I mean, I could chat to you for hours and
yeah,
hours,
me
but
too.
you're on which day or phase are you on, Petronella, right now? Because you've restarted with everyone else, haven't you?
No, I didn't do it this year because
Oh,
we've
you
got too much traveling and everything else.
yeah.
I would love to, because apart from anything else, it feels like an emotional detox as well as a physical
Yes.
detox. And the last year, for like a lot of people, has been darn tough, really, really tough. But I can't, so I'm going to do it in spring. So I'm in
Okay.
phase 4. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, super.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
might, if I go too mad on my ski trip, I might rejoin you for your spring start. You might be seeing me again. Um, okay, so someone has said, and actually I can relate to this one, that they're early in phase 2 and they're feeling amazing in the morning, but when they have their lunch meal afterwards, they feel quite awful and have to go to, well, they can't always go to sleep, but have to try and have a sleep or just low energy until the evening again. So is that a blood sugary issue, do you think?
It can be blood sugar. It can be because we're having too many carbs at lunch in the form of pulses like lentils, chickpeas, beans. So if that happens to you, I would say focus on really good quality protein. So
Yes.
tofu or tempeh or chicken or meat or fish or chicken or eggs, and just
Yeah.
don't have those kind of carby proteins until the evening, if at all.
I think for me, I haven't had carbs at lunch at all, but I did have my apple, which I
Yeah,
loved. Maybe it's
good.
the apple,
Could be the
the
apple.
sugar.
Did you felt sleepy after lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you feel hungry as well or just sleepy?
No, not hungry, but just really tired. Like my body was processing. It was just a lot for it to process.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe try having the apple mid-meal. That
Okay,
that might help.
I
Because
might
I
try
think
that.
that's what I did. I must look up my notes actually, because I remember I had the apple on one of the days and it made me completely bonkers. I thought I've got to eat sugar, and I don't have a sweet tooth anyway. And I think then I started having it in the no, I was having it at lunchtime, and then when I had it in the evening one day. So try having the apple mid-meal, and then
Yeah.
also try for anybody else who's experiencing that kind of tiredness after lunch, not having the carby proteins like the pulses. Sorry,
Yes. Yes.
have
Yes.
good
Yes.
quality protein. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Someone is saying, can they fast as well? They're doing the 16-8 fast. Can they combine?
you can, but then you're not doing HBD. Yeah.
Uh,
So HBD is eating 3 meals a day, and
way back.
breakfast is really, really important to kind of boost the metabolism again, get your fat burning, get the inflammation going down, and everything else. Really important. Yeah.
Okay, so no. And that's something else again that I wanted to highlight was the breakfast thing and eating within an hour of waking, because so many of us these days skip breakfast. I mean, my teenagers are doing it as well, and they think it's going to be a little weight loss hack, or it will help them eat less or whatever, but actually it's not doing us any favors.
No, and especially as we get into, perimenopause time, I used to see so many ladies in my clinic, and they were doing just that. They were having really, really long 18, 20-hour overnight fasts. And they weren't, nothing they did helped them lose weight. And it wasn't until they started eating breakfast again. And it's so counterintuitive.
Yes.
Breakfast, lunch, supper in the evening. And then, you're getting your blood sugar rebalanced, you're stimulating your metabolism, and that's when we start burning fat again. So really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Constipation, we've talked about the Epsom salts. What about, some people are still struggling to go, which I can understand. More Epsom salts or something else? I know you've said cascara, but they've said the cascara hasn't worked.
Yeah, it's very unusual for not just only cascara, but cascara compound, which, as you know, Miranda, is an old-fashioned naturopathic selection of herbs to get things going and to kind of retone the bowel. So like the one on the HBD website, you don't have to get it from there, but don't get pure cascara. And it's very unusual for it not to work. And normally people, if they take 5 capsules after food twice a day, that's enough. And then you don't want to be on it forever, so gradually cut it back. But if until you're in a routine with it, don't cut it back. So you want to be going every day. It's really important. Other things you can try: magnesium. It doesn't matter, magnesium glycinate or citrate, 200 to 400 milligrams twice a day, and lots of extra vitamin C that can help as well. So the magnesium and the vitamin C work by drawing water into the colon, which helps to get the poops out, and the cascara has more of a stimulating effect on the gut. So try vitamin C and magnesium first, and if that's not enough, then try the cascara. Hope that helps.
Super. Yeah. Super, thank you. Someone's asked if they can do it successfully whilst being vegan.
Yes, absolutely. There are lots of vegans in the HBD gang. But remember, no processed corn or anything like that. Tempeh, tofu, the pulses, all those kind of things. And there are quite a few nice vegan, vegetarian recipes in this wonderful book too.
I've been enjoying the recipes. I've been delicious. And it's nice to have a recipe, because I think if you're in a hurry, you're just weighing out. I had for breakfast this morning smoked salmon, a tiny bit of avocado and some cucumber. It's just a bit more. So it's nice to have a proper meal. It feels so much
It's nice to have a proper meal. But on the other hand, sometimes, life gets ahead of us, and you can grab things like that. It's fine. It's not a satisfying meal, but it does the trick, keeps you going, keeps your blood sugar stable. Yeah.
Exactly. Exercise. Is yoga, walking, Pilates and light strength okay? So you're quite strict about exercise, aren't you? Which I think is also quite fascinating.
Very strict about exercise, because if we exercise too hard or too much, we are producing cortisol. Cortisol is absolutely opposed to what we're trying to do with HBD. We're lowering the stress hormone cortisol and all the other stress hormones. And it's a bit like, being in a convalescent home. They wouldn't drag you out of bed and put you on a treadmill. And that's the same with us. We've got to take it as easy as possible to allow this transformation to occur, to allow, the metabolism to reset itself. Because we should spend all our time in parasympathetic mode, parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, relax, repair, digest. But a lot of us are stuck in the fight or flight, the sympathetic. It's like, driving our car with the foot on the accelerator the whole time. And that's what too much exercise is. It's the same thing. So we want to get out of that and just do as much lolling around on the sofa as possible. Lovely walks. Yeah.
Permission to relax. But that, because you do mention athletes, don't you, as having, many have chronic inflammation because they're just pushing themselves in that fight or flight the whole time.
In fight or flight the whole time.
You'd think they would be super healthy.
Yeah. No, we are designed for short bursts of intense activity, but not for back-to-back marathons, things like that. But it's just, it's bad for us.
Yes, exactly. Thanks. I'm going to have a T-shirt made. But I agree, definitely relaxing. But it is counterintuitive, because
I'll definitely buy your T-shirt, Miranda.
Right, you've got a deal. I shall obviously be, in fashion. I will design a very stylish one, and we can all
walk around. It'd be lovely. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, you're on. Someone else has said that they're feeling a little bit tired and delicate in phase 2, but they've got a big meeting in the afternoon in between meal times that they've got to be on form for. Can they have a coffee or something? What else can they do to perk themselves up?
Have a coffee right at the end of your lunch. And then remember that once you've had the black coffee, obviously, and then you count the 5 hours from the last sip you had of that coffee until you eat in the evening. And that will tide you over really, really well. And also drink lots of just still water, not so much you have to run out to the loo the whole time, because obviously that'd be embarrassing. And also think about adding electrolytes to your water. That they can be really energizing. And if if you really need it, just put a little pinch of just plain sea salt or Himalayan salt on your tongue, and then have some water. That can help too. Yeah.
I put a bit of salt in my water. That's all okay on the HBD, is it?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really good.
Good. We have had, is coconut yogurt acceptable at any time?
No, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just fat. It doesn't have enough protein, and what we want in the morning is that big hit of protein. Yes. So no, if you're plant-based, you can go for soy yogurt, but otherwise go for, really good quality protein like eggs, fish, chicken, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No coconut yogurt.
Okay. Someone is asking about Worcestershire sauce. I know that's a no because it's in phase 2 anyway. There's gluten in there.
That's a no.
Yeah. Red lentil pasta in phase 2.
That's okay. Yep. As long as it's 100% lentils, that's fine. So remember that the normal weight for cooked lentils is 160 grams, but for dried it's 80 grams. So you'd use 80 grams of the lentil pasta and then make a sauce using vegetables. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Someone has asked if you can recommend supplements for menopause. I know that's an enormous topic, but I don't know what you would say.
It is an enormous topic. So first, I'd say get your bases covered with a really good multi, as in the BioCare, I think it's called Menopause Multi-Nutrients, on the HBD website anyway. And that covers all your bases and doesn't give you iron, because we don't need iron when we stop menstruating, and it's dangerous to have too much iron. So that's really good. And then a lot of menopausal symptoms are a result of course, all the hormones doing weird things, but stress. So if you take something like rhodiola, ashwagandha, lemon balm, theanine, all those kind of things, they can really, really help. And, get on to HBD, because that's going to be so many people have said, I just can't believe how much less infuriating and horrible my, peri or menopausal symptoms are. Now I've started HBD, really, really helpful. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Fantastic. And do you periodically take the Epsom salts anyway, just to have a bit of a clear out ongoing?
Yeah, personally I don't, and I don't particularly recommend it, but it is very important you keep pooping every day, and not rabbit droppings, but really proper, like cigar-shaped poops. And if you're not, then do take the extra magnesium, vitamin C, and if necessary, cascara. But no, I don't think, that's, magnesium sulfate is pretty rough. It's not like senna or something, but you don't want to get into a habit of relying on that for a detox. Definitely not.
No, okay. I'm loving, I'm having them every night, as I said, and I'm loving my Epsom salt baths with Epsom salts and bicarbonate soda.
Perfect.
Yeah, because you detox through your skin as well, don't you? So
exactly. Yeah, skin's our biggest detox organ. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much bicarbonate do you put in your bath? Sorry.
It's okay. I have a massive tub that I get on good old Amazon. Put about half a cup minimum in, so quite a lot. And skin softening, and it's lovely. It's very
really
relaxing.
Nice. Yeah. No, really lovely. Good.
And I've got a really amazing, I shared it, I think I tagged you on my stories yesterday, a castor oil pack.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're a fantastic ancient naturopathic remedy, aren't they, for all sorts of inflammation?
Exactly. No, I'm going to look that up, because that's what puts everybody off, because it's such a mess. But that looks like just such a brilliant solution.
Yes, because there's no mess. I'm just writing it down so I can share it with people again. Because normally you have to soak a cloth in castor oil and then put sort of cling film over that, and then you put towels, and you put towels in the bed, and then you put a hot water bottle on, and it's a right palaver, because it can
a right palaver. Yeah, and it's really thick and gloopy, that castor oil, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible stuff. So this, it ties onto the body like a cummerbund, basically, and you just pop some oil directly onto it, and then you wear it. And I've been sleeping overnight in it without worrying.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm definitely going to get one. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Miranda. Great discovery.
I'll hook you up with Katie. She will send you one. So hold your horses. I'll introduce you.
Thank you.
She'll love that. So yeah, that's great for detoxing as well, isn't it?
It's really fantastic. Yeah. has a really, really deep and profound effect on detoxing. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Peas. Can we have peas?
You can have peas for your treat meal, but remember that peas are legumes. Yeah. So they come under the same umbrella as lentils and chickpeas. But don't have peas instead of lentils or chickpeas or whatever, because lentils have better protein. So that's
Yeah,
really, really important. And,
yeah,
you know, green beans are, they're kind of legumy as well, but they're much less starchy. And so we leave those in because they are much, I mean, they're pretty good for us.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Flaxseed. Can we have flaxseed? Someone has asked.
Nope, just stick to the foods in the book and you will do brilliantly. So the closer you stick to the list and the rules in the book, the better you'll do. And then you can experiment with things when you get into, you know, treat meals. I mean, flaxseed's hardly a treat meal, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
In phase 4, yeah. But for now,
Okay.
if you want really, really good results, just stick like a limpet, 100% to it, and you will do brilliantly. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, for those questions, I mean, it's all in the book, isn't it? Or the
It's all in
books.
the book, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you say, this first one is a bit more of a read, but you have got all the science in there, which I think is really useful. And then you've got many more recipes, obviously, and this is laid out in a nice, bright, easy way to follow. And I think it's great quick reference once you've done the reading in the first one.
Exactly. And I know
Yeah.
that some people will be looking at this thinking, oh, I can't be bothered with that book. It sounds very scientific. I promise you, it's a light read. But it's also okay if you start with a cookbook. And I hope that you'll be so intrigued by the mechanisms, by what's happening in your body, by the importance of the rules, that then you might go back to having a really in-depth look at it. But ideally, as Miranda says, start with the orange one and then get the cookbook.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Because also we're constantly bombarded by the diet industry, by marketing, by the latest craze, by biohackers, by vegans, by, you know, their way is the healthy way, you must do this. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, as we both know.
A lot.
So it's just, I think it can be really overwhelming. And if someone's not really tuned into nutrition, hasn't had an interest in it previously, I think it can be very confusing and hard to know where to start. So I think it's really good to have a proper plan to follow with
thanks, Miranda.
people that love it, because I've just been looking through the comments as we've been talking, and people are literally just swearing by how wonderful it is, how great they're feeling. So
that's so wonderful. I know. I just feel so blessed, and I feel so blessed by the community. So, you know, Miranda's followers, you know, if you're tempted or you want to jump in with HBD, reach out if you're having a difficult day or if you've got a question, and you will be blown away by the gang on there. I mean, they are so warm and loving and ever giving. I mean, it's just, I feel, you know, so honoured, and we're all so blessed to have this community. So just, you know, introduce yourself and say, hi, you know, and can you help? Or here's, you know, here's my lunch, or whatever it is.
And this is on the HBD Instagram, do you mean?
Yeah. So my Instagram's Petronella Ravenshear, and you'll see a lot of HBD followers identify themselves by using HBD in their name. So that's a really good way to find fellow HBDers and follow the people I follow. Yeah.
Fantastic. And they can obviously follow you. You can follow me and follow along on stories. I mean, I think you are anyway, but I am accounting for it daily. It's great because obviously this is keeping me super accountable.
Exactly. No hiding, which is fantastic.
Yes. And
we'll see what you're up to.
I know, exactly. So the skiing is really going to be a test, but we will see how we go. That's fine. So thank you so much, Petronella. I'm sure I've kept you long enough, but it's been an absolute delight.
Absolute pleasure.
It has really enjoyed your company, and you've been just so enlightening. And thank you for the phenomenon that is the HBD diet. Would you perhaps come back in a few weeks' time and we can touch base and see how we're doing?
I'd love that. Yeah, do a bit of phase 3 talks. That'd be fantastic. But thanks, Miranda, and I really enjoyed it. Love to chat to you. Yeah, in more depth. As you say, we could go on for hours. Yeah,
we could. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and no doubt be in touch soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.